What's up, everybody? It's me, E-Man from E-Man's Movie Reviews, and welcome to episode 6 of the Recap with E-Man. And today we have got a number of things to go over, more delays. We do have a couple rumors we got to get, sort through and everything. But first, hold on one second. I gotta get a, I had to get a little glass of wine here. I just got done watching Uncorked on Netflix. Phenomenal movie. You could definitely check out my review for that. Yes, who else is going to shamelessly plug if not myself on my own channel, right? So anyway, let's get to the top of the news first and foremost. So, my folks out there in Georgia, apparently your governor wants to reopen theaters as of, I want to say, April 27th. You know what? I already told y'all I'm not going to get political with this. I just don't really understand why you want to do that. Mainly because, forget the safety concerns, right? Those are obvious, right? What are you going to play in the theater? Bloodshot? The Hunt? There are no new movies coming out. What are people about to go watch? Are people that desperate right now to go out and watch reruns or classics or something in the theater? I don't know. Look, I don't think it's a good idea. Movie theaters themselves have already said that they're not going to open up anyway until mid-July. They're not going to do it. At least AMC said this recently, that they're not going to open until, I want to say, mid-July, because that's around the time Disney has pushed back Mulan, and WB, Warner Brothers, they still have Christopher Nolan's Tenet coming out, in July. They have not pushed those dates back any further. So I don't know what y'all about to go watch, but good luck and be safe, I guess. Alright, moving on. So Chris Pine is in talks to appear in the reboot of the movie The Saint, which, if some of you recall, back in the 90s, that was helmed by my man Val Kilmer. He had killed it back then. I feel so bad for Val Kilmer. My man had to deal with throat cancer. So it's like he couldn't even be in, what was that, Top Gun Maverick. He couldn't be in the sequel. It's kind of sad all around. But I will say that I am all on board for Chris Pine doing this. I really enjoy Chris Pine as an actor. And I think this could be a perfect role for him. I haven't seen The Saint for a while, but I do get the feeling that this should be just as good, because I do remember it being a good movie back then. So hopefully that pans out. We also have some news about an upcoming sequel, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. They're coming out with a sequel as well. I watched the first movie and I liked it. It was cool. I never read the books, so I was probably too afraid at that time as a kid anyway. And I was also too busy reading all the Lord of the Ring books at that time. So we'll see what happens with that. Are you guys excited for it? Because I know other people that have read the books also kind of enjoyed the movies as well. So if you have read the books, let me know how you enjoyed the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark movie, and if you're excited for the sequel. Alright, next up we have The Mandalorian Season 3 is already in the works. They haven't even dropped Season 2 yet, which only leads me to believe that Season 2 is about to be fire. Like, it is going to be bananas. Because I remember when Season 1, and this is before it even dropped, when Season 1 was done, I want to say like a couple weeks or maybe a month or so before we even got a chance to watch it, Jon Favreau was already like, yeah, we starting Season 2. And I'm like, boy, that takes you got a pair on you to sit here and think that this is gonna be. And yeah, Baby Yoda, and a couple episodes later, and he was right. So I'm sitting here like, you know what? Clearly you guys know what works. Clearly you have this under control. You have my trust. I can't wait. Season 3 of The Mandalorian, get to working, because I'm pretty sure they're going to leave us on a cliffhanger like they did in season 1. So season 2 is probably going to do the very same thing, and I cannot wait. One speculation, and this one little rumor I've kind of heard through the grapevine, I heard that season 2 might be dealing with the fact that we might actually see Yoda's planet for the very first time. It was kind of hinted at in season 1, where they said like, oh, well, you're going to either have to adopt Baby Yoda or you're going to have to take him back to his home world. Look, you do something like that, that's going to shake up, I think, the entire Star Wars community, just because we don't know anything about Yoda's world or his species or anything. So it'll be very interesting if they want to keep, pulling at that thread, or if they want to just unravel the whole thing and boom, we just, go through all the mysteries of the Yoda species. And that's the messed up thing. We don't even know what to call Yoda species. We just call him Yoda because that's one of the two that we only know about. So I'm here for it regardless. All right, now, as of tonight, as I'm shooting this is on Sunday, The Last Dance is coming, and I cannot wait for I can't wait for the rest of this thing. I want ESPN to just drop all the episodes. Like, I'm tired of waiting. I mean, I'm thankful that they're giving us, 2 episodes every week, but you could drop all of them, and I'll probably watch the whole series in one sitting. But the good news here is that Netflix is actually going to have the entire documentary come July. So if you even needed any more reason to rewatch this, Netflix has you covered. Thank you. Netflix has been coming through for this quarantine time. I tell you what, man, I mean, they are living their best life right now. Oh my gosh. And speaking of which, in terms of documentaries, there was also news that dropped that said that there was actually a lot of film that was taken during Kobe Bryant's last year of playing. There's possibly a documentary in the works. Let me tell you something. Give it to me now. I want it now. Oh. Besides Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant is like my absolute favorite basketball player, period. Like, his passing still hurts. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still one of those things that I'm like, that happened for real? That wasn't fake news? Like, But I want it. I want the Kobe documentary. Just give it to me, please. But speaking of how Netflix is coming through in the clutch, The Last Airbender, the animated series, is coming to Netflix in May. Yes. Oh my God. If you even are remotely interested in anime, this was one of the most complete, fulfilling, and satisfying animes that have been out in years. I mean, The Last Airbender, and it's English dub, so, don't worry about subtitles or anything. But I remember when it came out on Nickelodeon, and I had no idea about it. And as I was watching on Nickelodeon, I kind of thought it was all kiddie and stuff and everything. And, it does have like some silly elements and some fun or whatever here and there. But when you talk about character development, when you talk about like actual themes and, just really hitting things home, this was a beautifully written, nicely animated series. It's a must watch if you have not already. I have yet to meet someone who has watched, Avatar, and just, walked away from it just being like, it was alright. Like, I haven't personally seen that reaction, and I haven't met very many people like that. But I will say the vast majority of people do enjoy it, and it's for extremely good reason, because it's a quality watch. So it's coming out in May on Netflix. Be sure to binge it if you have the time. Now, something else that's coming out in May, and it's not on Netflix, Byron Allen is going to be hosting a comedy festival to raise money for the non-for-profit Feeding America charity. Among the comedians included the legendary Eddie Murphy will be doing a stand-up set for the charity. Besides him, other comedians will be doing sets like Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish, and Billy Crystal. Now, I think this is absolutely beautiful. I mean, I love that it's for charity and all that. But let's be honest, it's Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is going to be doing his very first comedy set, and this is before the one that he was supposed to do. This, he had a comeback that was scheduled to happen on Netflix. He has a special coming, but that's not going to come out until sometime later this year. So if you want a chance to actually see Eddie Murphy do stand-up in his very first comeback, this is it. And I believe this thing is going to be live streamed on Byron Allen's media group. I think it's comedy.tv, and it'll also be streamed on the Weather Channel, and that'll all happen on Saturday, May 9th. I think myself and everyone included is all just wondering, does Eddie still have it? Can he live up to, his classic Raw or just any of his previous, classic stand-ups? So we'll see. I hope it's unrated, so he could just kind of let loose. But, oh my gosh, just Eddie Murphy back in stand-up. Yes, please. All right, so let's get on to some news from Sony. Venom 2, I should say, now has a new date and a new title. The new release date is June 25th of 2021, and the new title is Let There Be Carnage. Okay, look, Sony, please don't screw this up. I was not the biggest fan of Venom. I thought Venom was an incredibly mediocre film. I understand why people were entertained by it, but Venom is one of those type of movies where I'm like, you take a huge character that is a fan favorite, and I don't feel like they put their best foot forward. I don't honestly think Sony does very good with their movies anyway. Like they normally will put out a movie that is okay, but it doesn't always live up to the potential that the character that's in the film probably warrants. The Spider-Man movies, not Spider-Man 1 or 2 with Sam Raimi, because those were classics and they were great. But everything after that has been kind of mediocre to average. And they just kind of dropped the ball in terms of this is why Sony agreed, and Sony agrees with this. Sony knows that they're average and mediocre. That's why they agreed to partner up with Marvel to have Marvel, co-produce or actually make the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland. That's why. They know that they're average. They know they're mediocre. But the difference is after Far From Home, again, made by Marvel Studios. After that made $1 billion something dollars, and Homecoming also made a lot more money than Sony has ever made on their own. Sony, I forget the president's name, Tom something. He came out and basically said oh yeah, we got Kevin Feige's playbook. We know how to make the movies good now, so we don't need them. And for some of you that might not know, Kevin Feige, who is the head of Marvel Studios, he's been helping Sony for a long time. There were some Sony emails that got leaked a couple years ago, and if you ever go through the email leaks, you'll see that Kevin Feige used to give producer notes and stuff to some of the producers in Sony for their Spider-Man movies. And the crazy thing about it is they ignored a lot of his advice. And when they ignored his advice, what did we get in return? The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. And, Feige was sitting here in the background. He was not getting a producer credit. He wasn't getting paid for it. I mean, the guy just really loves, the Spider-Man character. Like, that's his proclaimed favorite character. And he's like giving them expert tips on how to be great, how to be dope. And Sony was like, nah, we got this. And we got those mediocre films. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I know some people like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, but if you've read Spider-Man, the comic book, you know what made him relatable? The fact that he wasn't already Mr. Cool, he wasn't all popular and stuff, like the way they made Andrew Garfield in The Amazing Spider-Man. No, he was a nerd. He was kind of like an introvert at that. But that's not what we got in the Amazing Spider-Man series. And it was like, it just never translated well. But to his credit, I will say, Garfield was a much better Spider-Man. In my opinion, he sucked as Peter Parker. So either way, doesn't matter. Sony, they did what they did with Venom. Like it or not, whatever. Now they're coming out with Venom 2. They're changing the title to Let There Be Carnage. A lot of fans out there wanted Maximum Carnage, which actually might have made a lot more sense, based off of the video game and everything, and the comic books and all that. I'm hoping that maybe that this is just the first step, because they're clearly going to do a Venom 3, clearly. And when Venom 3 happens, or maybe they just combine Venom with Spider-Man, they have to do a Spider-Man and Venom movie. Like, it's almost a prerequisite, because there's so much money to be made if they do that, Tom Holland included. So maybe when they do Tom Holland and Tom Hardy together, maybe that's when they'll do Maximum Carnage. I don't know. But either way, I just hope that they really do take some notes from Kevin Feige's playbook. Luckily, they don't have the restrictions that Disney has, so they should absolutely make Venom 2 rated R. I mean, oh my gosh. To have a PG-13 Carnage is nothing but rated R. Like, if you thought Deadpool was rated R material, Carnage is rated R material. So we'll see what happens with it. I have to admit, I was very dubious when Woody Harrelson was cast in the role. I'm like, if this was the 90s Woody Harrelson, oh yeah, it's all good. But now, I don't know. And then they put that goofy wig on my man. Just don't mess this up, Sony, please. Okay, so staying in the Sony boat, Sony has officially pushed back Spider-Man 3. Now, keep in mind that the Sony-Marvel deal is still at play here. Marvel will still help to produce the new Spider-Man 3 movie, and Tom Holland is supposed to still appear in one more Marvel Studios movie. Now, after Marvel helps to make Spider-Man 3, and after Tom Holland appears in one more Marvel Studios movie, then Tom Holland is going to be free to be in, all the Sony Marvel Universe movies. And the Sony Marvel Universe is going to be a separate universe that only includes the Spider-Man characters that Sony has the rights to. So this is where we're going to see the real separation begin, supposedly. It's only going to be Tom Holland Spider-Man. You'll have Venom, you'll have Morbius, Black Cat, and all these different characters. But you're not going to see, the references to Tony Stark, Iron Man. You're not going to see the references to S.H.I.E.L.D. or the Avengers, because they don't have the rights to that. And the only reason they were able to do that was because both of the companies had an agreement together. But once that's done, you're going to see that steep separation happen. Now, because of the Spider-Man 3 delay, that's also going to push back the Doctor Strange sequel, The Madness of the Multiverse, and Thor, Love and Thunder. Now, just a couple of weeks ago, Doctor Strange 2 was moved to November 5th of 2021, but now it's not going to open all the way until March 25th of 2022. Now, I think that this is actually kind of interesting for a couple of reasons. Some have speculated, and I actually agree with this, that Spider-Man could be tied to the Doctor Strange sequel movie. And I think that this could be a movie that Spider-Man pops up in, mainly because it's dealing with the multiverse. Now, we've already seen, the success that's happened with the animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse film, which is absolutely one of the best Spider-Man movies, if not the best, in my opinion. If I recall, Kevin Feige also said that Spider-Man was a rather unique and special character, that he's like one of the only ones to kind of, be in different universes, so to speak, being in the MCU and in the Sony Marvel universe. So it would be kind of interesting if, I don't know, if Doctor Strange is fighting somebody and he calls up Tom Holland's, Spider-Man, and maybe Miles Morales pops up, and maybe Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man pops up, or Toby. Who knows? I don't know. But I think it's interesting that Spider-Man 3 movie clearly is going to tie in and affect some of these other Marvel movies, which is why they also got pushed back the moment that the Spider-Man 3 film got pushed back. So that's going to be kind of interesting. Now, the other thing I think is going to be intriguing, because I know, with all these movie delays and stuff, it does seem and feel like a pretty bad downer, right? Like, we're not going to get these movies that we normally would this summer. We got to wait all the way into the fall. But if I can just kind of give you a little bit of hope here, when we get out of this quarantine thing, we're going to be hit with a bunch of movies that are going to be coming out, I want to say like 3 months apart or whatever. And it's going to feel like we're going to have 4 movies a year. You got Black Widow coming out in 2020, but that's kind of like in the fall. You got the Eternals coming out like in early February, mid-February of 2021. Shang-Chi, May 2021. Spider-Man 3 coming out November 2021. Thor Love and Thunder, February 2022. Doctor Strange 2, March 2022. Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, May 2022. Captain Marvel 2, July 2022. That is a lot of movies. I'm telling you, we're going to look, first of all, 2021 and 2022 are going to be great, because we're going to have so many things coming out that we couldn't get, in 2020. I'm excited for it. Like, I am already, forget this quarantine stuff. I'm looking forward to the future right now. And I'm looking at these 2021 and 2022 movie lineups. They're going to be fun. I cannot wait, because we are going to be all up in the theaters almost every other couple of weeks. And I love it. All right. Now I have to do something that usually stresses me out, but I know it's probably better to talk about it than not. And, I don't want to hope that it just goes away. So apparently there's a rumor, again, floating around that Chadwick Boseman is not happy with Marvel, and that he is ready to leave Black Panther because he wants more money, and he's just ready to walk. All right, folks. I talked about this in a previous episode, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit more in detail now. First of all, a lot of these rumors, I think this rumor started by a quote-unquote leaker on 4chan, which is one of those back-end websites or whatever. It's sad, because when things like this drop, they make for really enticing headlines, right? I mean, imagine if this news were real, this would be huge across all platforms, not just some janky websites here or there that speculate and, just try to do all the clickbait, because this is the definition of clickbait. And let me tell you why. A lot of times these news articles, what is this, cosmicnews.com? No, please stop using them. This is as bad as using Wikipedia as a source. Don't do that. And what do they do most of the time? A lot of these articles only refer back to other clickbait articles, and that's it. They're not sourced on anything withstanding. So when you see a Cosmic News, article, and you see it point to something like WeGotItCovered.com, and you go look, just all I'm telling you, look at the articles and look at when they say according to or this source by. That's what you need to pay attention to. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when news is this big, if it were this big, Chadwick Boseman dropping out of Black Panther, one of the most highly anticipated, MCU movies ever, when you tell me that this news is out there, you don't think a bigger outlet, a more notable outlet, a more credible outlet would also jump on that? You have outlets like Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, Collider. You have other outlets that actually have access. They can contact Chadwick Boseman's representative. They can contact Marvel straight up. They have the phone numbers to these people to verify, hey, any word on this? Is this true? Is this not true? And guess what? If they're not talking about it, it's probably not true. It's probably not worth talking about also. So please, do not fall for these things until it is actually verified by credible, reputable sources. Don't fall for the headline. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And if it does sound to be too good to be true and everyone else is talking about it, and I'm not talking about other clickbait sites, I'm talking about more established websites, now you can actually start to look into it and give it a little bit more credibility. But my goodness, look, so in my opinion, I'm not giving this rumor any type of credibility whatsoever, and I highly suggest you do the same until we actually hear something that is verifiable. I don't want to hear about some random person who was on some random website who says some random comment that sounds too good to be true. Stop. Alright, so as we come to a close, I just want to tell you guys one thing that I've been binging on so far and have been absolutely loving. DC Universe Online, they have the show Harley Quinn. It's the animated show. Now, I gave this show no type of credit when it first was announced. Like, I was kind of like, here we go with the Harley Quinn push. Because, yes, she was, probably one of the highlights of the Suicide Squad movie. But at the same time, all right, we'll see what happens, And I didn't pay it any mind, because usually when things are announced that early, sometimes I kind of like to wait to see if it'll actually pan out, get another season or something like that. But, hey, this quarantine life is absolutely making people, watch things that they normally wouldn't watch. I was bored one night. I sat here and I was like, let me give this a watch. Let me see if it's okay. I just needed a quick 20 minutes to burn real quick. I watched the entire season, 1 and halfway into 2. This show is so stupidly funny. It is hilarious. I'm sitting here at 2 o'clock in the morning because it's got me staying up late, just cracking up. My man Frank is hilarious. The shark guy is hilarious. The writing for this is so funny. I mean, they got Jason Alexander back in this. And this show reminded me of Duckman on USA. I don't know if any of you guys remember that show. Duckman was funny. It was not appropriate for children. And neither is this show, by the way. This show is, very crude with the language, violence. There's a lot of violence and gore in this. Blood, bones, broken, all of that stuff. But Harley Quinn is so funny, and it absolutely deserves another season and just a continuation. If you have the chance and the ability to watch it, please do. I highly doubt you'll regret it. It's that fun. It's that fun. It's that exciting. Probably enjoy this. I love it. If you just remotely like anything DC related, this is something you should check out. So Harley Quinn, the animated series, watch that. Right now, I believe it is on the DC Universe platform, so that would be the best place for you to get it. Real quick, I did want to get into one question from one of you out there. Stargirl, I'll leave your identity anonymous for now, but she asked, with the coronavirus affecting almost everything, has the Loki Disney Plus series been delayed or affected at all? Actually, it has been. That also got pushed back. No, production stopped, I want to say, in March of this year, and they pushed the entire series to a later date in 2021. So I haven't read anything that's been hardcore with a date as of yet, but we should expect it to happen sometime in 2021. I do recall that earlier, before the coronavirus started happening, they were in the midst of working on the actual series. So, they got some things done, but they had to stop in the meantime. So they'll pick up soon enough, and hopefully it should be done by the time 2021 rolls around. But thank you so much for your question. And hey, if any of you have any other questions or topics or anything that you'd like for me to talk about in the next episode, please feel free to hit me up at askeman411@gmail.com. That's askeman411@gmail.com. Anyway, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my video. I always appreciate it. And I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all. And until next time, I'll see you all later.